Welcome back to another episode of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed with Thaddeus and Evan, where we have good conversations with good people, and any good conversation worth having is worth having drunk. Cheers, my friend. Always a pleasure. We're going to be diving into an exciting topic today. We've got Paul Sanneman on. He is with Contractor Staffing Source, been in the trades for over 40 years. He's an expert when it comes to recruiting, and this is something that is incredibly important right now, this time of year, because, well, we're heading into the new year. Everyone's got their goals set up, big plans for the we're going to continue to evolve for our teams. So for anyone that's looking for top people in their industry, probably a decent conversation to listen to.
Yep. Recruiting is one of those things where it's a necessity to be able to continue to grow your business. And, I'm always fascinated, and perhaps we can get into this conversation of the individuals who have zero troubles recruiting people and the businesses that have 100% trouble recruiting people. And so that'll be a great topic too. Recruiting is always one of those things. We used to do recruiting. So different start of recruiting, but hey, always going to be fun to dive into that topic. But today's show would not be possible, of course, without our sponsors, CHIIRP, Real-Time 360, Non-Purpose Media, and in no particular order. Let's go ahead and roll with Real-Time 360.
Are you tired of juggling marketing tools and agencies owning all of your logins? Say goodbye to the frustration and take control of your marketing. With Real-Time 360, you can streamline your reviews, automate your socials, engage customers with live chat, and more importantly, track all of your success in one place. Join the revolution, power your success with Real-Time 360. You can check them out at realtime360.io.
There we go. I was getting the banner up there. The other one, CHIIRP. Hey, look, they're the ultimate automation toolbox. It's really the front end bolt on to things like Service Titan, House Call Pro, Jobber, Sarah. What it allows is automated text messages, emails, ringless voicemails, direct mail, rehash programs, more Google reviews, website chat widgets, text message automation. The list goes on and on and on. You can also add lots of money to your bottom line, just like Dave signed up, $42K. 1 month. Cassie signed up, $80K, 14 days with CHIIRP. By the way, those two signed up in shoulder season. Check them out today. Get 25% off at chirp.com/HSSR. And last but certainly not least, Evan, On Purpose Media.
Yeah, we kick ass at marketing. So we'll talk more about that a little bit later on in the show.
Love that. And without further ado, we'll be back with Paul.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to HVAC Success Secrets Revealed, a show where we interview industry leaders and disruptors, revealing the success secrets to create and unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Now your hosts, Thaddeus and Evan.
Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Absolutely. I don't have a drink, but I'll work on it.
That's all right.
Go get some pineapple wine from Maui.
There we go. No, that sucks. No offense. Mai Tai would be more my style. Or some good wine. Tonight's wine night. My friends are over for wine. It's gonna be all good. I'm just a little ahead of you guys.
There you go.
Perfect.
Head over and
yeah,
get
it's
some
only
wine.
11 a.m. there, so it's
That's right.
a little
It's
early to start sipping.
Awesome. Is it?
Not when you're on vacation. That's fine.
Oh, okay.
Maybe not. I guess that's a point of view. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Paul, why don't you go ahead and tell us your journey into the trades? How did you get into starting Contractor Staffing Source and being able to help so many contractors?
Well, I'm an old guy. I've been literally working with contractors for 40 years. I'd say 50 years. That makes me really old, so I go with 40. I've worked with literally 2,000 to 3,000 contractors in my career, mostly small contractors between $1 million and $10 million. Mostly in residential construction or services, that kind of thing. I work with architects, but the egos are too big. No, just kidding. So it's like I work with a lot of people, and I've learned a lot in my 40, 50 years of doing this. And I think I got, pick a number, 152,000, 200,000 hours, some stupid number. But it all pretty much comes to some basic stuff. So what happened 3 years ago, 3-4 years ago, is I could build clients from like $1 million to 10 million. Had a formula. I was good at marketing. Boom, it happened. Hit it 100% of the time. I feel like, a personal trainer. Everybody that followed my diet and exercise program got healthier 100% of the time. Never missed. But the problem was they couldn't find employees. So if I build a business from 1 to 10 million and they needed a plumber, some project managers, they couldn't find them. And so my first brilliant idea was I'll just find the stuff. So I went out and found some really cool software, some applicant tracking systems, some assessments. I did a whole bunch of research and found the best products and software at the time to help with recruiting. So I gave it to my clients and they totally screwed it up. No clue. They didn't have the time to do it, they didn't have the effort to do it, they didn't have the acumen to do it. So it just didn't work. So my brilliant idea was I put a guy in my garage and said, look, let's do this for my clients and we'll charge them a monthly fee and we'll just get this started. That was 3 or 4 years ago. Now we have 25 people on the team. We go through 400 to 500 open jobs any given day. We go to 2,000 to 3,000 resumes a week. We've currently hired almost 1,000 people in the last couple of years, and we've gone through 200,000 resumes. So it grew. I think we're probably the largest at what we do in the country right now. The key to our success, we use amazing AI and offshore. I mean, we use incredible software. It's the best in the market, and it's amazing, really fast. And I use a lot of offshore labor. I've seen half of if I have a meeting with everybody, they're in Venezuela, Bolivia, Taiwan, all over the world. So if we use offshore labor and AI, we can do it way cheaper and better than anybody else. Bottom line.
Love that. And we did get a chance to tour the software, and it is pretty cool. When it comes to contractors, the transition from hiring for a position versus becoming a recruiter, why is that important for a contractor to go through that transition, and what kind of a mindset does it take?
Well, it's the same transition that it takes from going a craftsman to an entrepreneur, right? In fact, I was talking to some HVAC where he says, I do not want to hire craftsmen because they go into the house and they try to fix the old air conditioning unit as opposed to sell them what they really need, right? So sometimes craftsman's not the best deal. Entrepreneur has a big picture, looks at things in the future, is planning a year down the road, not a week down the road. All right. So you're looking, this is close to January, looking for your staffing for next year. There's a couple, if I can go through them, guys, there's a couple myths that get in the way of people doing this that are common in the industry. Can I do some of this for you? Because they really get in the way. Okay. The first one comes, only recruit when you need someone. People are famous for that, right? And that is not true. You need to recruit all the time. But unfortunately, most contractors don't get that. Any successful company recruits all the time, but they don't do it. Another one is employees are expensive, which is not true. You don't make any money without employees. But I kept running to clients go, once we get the big project, then I'll recruit somebody. Well, then by the time they recruit somebody, it's too late and they got to hire the person they really don't want. This is the third one which ties into this, which is we can do it ourselves. How hard is it to recruit, man? Just put an ad in Indeed. Now, and it is easier now than it used to be, because with ChatGPT, they'll write a better ad than you're going to write. They'll write a better onboarding you're going to write, and it'll write better key performance indicators than you're going to write. So AI this last year has helped a lot with recruiting. But trust me, doing it yourself does not make a lot of sense. Because one thing is you got to get back to a candidate in 10 to 15 minutes. Who's going to do that, right? We usually get back to a candidate within 10 to 15 minutes of the time they apply. It's like sales, right, guys? When somebody calls on the phone and wants work done, you don't call them back a week later. Same thing with employees. You've got to get right back to them. People, they recruit with the construction industry. We found the best wedding planners make the best office managers. You know, it's interesting how that works. Hire fast, fire slow. That's just the opposite. What happens is most guys in this industry, what they do is they don't hire somebody until after they need him. And then they hire somebody who's marginal, usually the worst employee, not bad enough to fire, good enough to keep, right? And they're horrible because they bring down the whole organization. And then they hire them, and then they don't fire them because they haven't got any choice. They have to build a bench, right? So you're full of these employees that are not bad enough or good enough to keep, and it makes it really hard to stay in business. Mm-hmm. Listeners take this one thing home with them, if nothing else, during this whole podcast. If you're starting a new company, and just say everybody, you laid everybody off, and you're starting a new company, same thing. You're starting to block down the road, got no compete. You're starting a new company. You got to talk about, of the employees you have now, who would you hire back? Anybody you wouldn't hire back, you should fire. But why don't they fire people? They don't have the emotional guts to do it. They'd rather suffer, the death of 1,000 cuts by the employee screwing up over a year than take the emotional hit that it takes to fire somebody. And the last myth is, recruiting is a project. It's not a project. It's like marketing. It's an ongoing process. So people say, oh, I need a project manager, right? So they hire a project manager, but they wait till it's too late. So they're desperate. And so they hire the project managers, not quite there, but they're okay. And then they hire the employee. I'm sure you guys know this. The worst employee is the person who is not bad enough to fire, good enough to keep, but they kill an organization because they lie only occasionally, but then you know when they tell the truth. They only trash the company once in a while, and then they steal, but only when they need it, right? So they're taking your entire company. Now you have these really good people working for you. You put this guy or woman in the mix, and they show up late, you don't say anything. They trash the company, you don't say anything. They steal, it's only an air gun, and you don't say anything. And then all of a sudden, the thing you took years to build is the integrity, quality, all that kind of stuff you stand for as a company gets trashed just because you've got that employee. So that's why you hire fast, hire slow, and fire fast. So that's everything about recruiting. Just kidding. It's what I've learned over the years. And trust me, it's hard.
Well, I want to unpack one because we just started talking about it. And it's not bad enough to fire, not good enough to keep. Marginal employees take down an organization. In looking at that, people will hear that and they might go, okay, well, you talked about a couple of those instances. How can one identify and look intrinsically into A, themselves, and B, their company, and see their team to say, which of my people are those people that I need to get rid of because they're actually quietly toxic to my organization? Okay.
First, I suggest assessments. They're really good. We've got lots of assessments. You can do a disc profile, lots of assessments that are available. So there's ways of testing these people. All right. I would say the most.
But a disc profile isn't going to tell you whether or not.
But what's going to tell you a disc profile is everybody, like my wife and I are both a high D, which makes marriage really hard. It's because what happens is you've got to have a mix of the D's and the I's and a whole team so they all work well together. If everybody's D, everybody fights. Everybody's an I, nothing happens. Everybody's C, it's like they always nick or figure it out. So it's got to be a whole team. But I would say, guys, the best thing is your gut, because it's some intuitive level. You're talking to God, consciousness, the force, or what the hell it is up there, that that this person is just not a good person. Other way to tell, when they ring, when you hear them on the phone, oh crap, it's John, right? Right? We all have that. When the phone rings and you see they're on the phone, you don't feel good. You feel bad because you don't know what the problem is going to be today, but it's not good, right? And there's another way of telling. If you look at a bell-shaped curve of humanity, right? On one side, we've got people that take 100% responsibility for everything. If their car gets hit in the parking lot, they go, why the hell I parked it there, right? Then you got people on the other side where the devil made me do it, or my wife, or my ex, or somebody. It's never their fault, ever, ever, ever. They're total victims. And then everybody's like on the scale in between. Most people are like in the middle somewhere. Well, you always hire toward the people that are responsible because they make great employees. But if you've got people that are victims, that's the people you should let go. And that's part of the way you tell. Because what happens, it's never their fault, ever, right? Every time you say we're over budget, well, it rained. Well, I couldn't get access to the house. Well, the client wasn't there. They've got excuses in life instead of results.
Right.
So to me, that's how you tell. But I would say the gut feeling is the most. Would you really hire them back? If you have any hesitation, think about when the phone rings with them on it, or you get an email, are you excited or pissed oh no, it's John again. That's right. How it goes.
Well, but as a contractor who's running a business that's only $1 million, they're struggling with time. And so if we have this employee that, they're not bad enough that we want to let them go, they're not good enough that we want to continue working with them, they're just kind of muddled in the middle, but they're good enough for right now. How is it that I can find the time to then go about hire someone new, train them up, grow them in the business when I'm struggling to just do all the things that I'm responsible for right now?
Well, what the number one reason people don't take time management, right? No time. Right. It's the same kind of thing. So it's like people that don't plan to fail. I'm sure you heard that before. So when you look at this, it's sort of a time management question. You work on the business, not in it. There's a bunch of sayings out there. But if this person is killing your business, and unfortunately, you have to do something really stupid before you let them go, right? That's the problem. And then it sucks. I've been there myself. They go, oh my God, this is terrible. But it's an investment. You can, if you do it yourself, put it on Indeed, call them back in half an hour. I've got some best practices. I can tell your clients what to do, but assess them. But you've got to go through the pain, because if you go through that small pain, you'll be suffering forever. Mm-hmm. And I've had consulting clients literally for 10 years. And the conversation is always about John. 1 week, John's great. Next week, John sucks. Next week, John's great. And this goes on for years, right? John's good, John's bad. I could just fire John. Well, not really, because, he and my wife are good friends, and we have this kind of friends. And, heck, we drink together. John's a good guy. He only lies occasionally, Get rid of John.
At what point, though, so if he's good 1 week, good 1 week, bad the next, good 1 week, bad the next, would you say, okay, let's do a personal improvement plan, or let's sit down and say, hey, you were bad this week. How can we get you better? What sort of grace would you give somebody, and how would you be able to do that?
Well, Jim Rohn, who's passed away, one of my favorite guys, he said, you can't send your ducks to Eagle School or you will die trying. And I know so many people, you can fix what they know, but you can't fix who they are. Mm-hmm. So if it's like a drinking problem, a lying problem, some kind of something with it's wrong with them as a human being, that their values don't agree with yours, you can't fix it. If they don't know how to, screw in a light bulb, or if it's a training thing, you can train people to do just about anything, but you can't fix who they are. So if you're considering letting them go because they just don't quite know how to put in an air conditioner, you can fix that. But if you find them lying occasionally, the problem with the person only tells the truth, only lies 10% of the time, you never know when the 10% is, right? So you can't trust anything they say. So if it's who they are, fire them. If it's what they know, train them.
I love that. Mm-hmm. Tony Robbins has a great quote where it's, you get what you tolerate, right? And he talks about this a lot in business, but also in your personal life as well. And if you don't have those standards within your business of what it is that you expect, like you talked about, well, they only lied this time, or they only stole this thing. If you don't call them on that shit when it happens, it's going to continue to happen, and it's going to get worse, and it's going to spread, because bad apple.
It's going to set a new low standard for your entire business.
Exactly. Right. So how do you then step up in your business, set those standards, and then hold everyone accountable, whether they're a top performer or the bottom?
Well, there's a thing called key performance indicators. You remember that concept, guys? Okay.
Heard KPI. It may make an appearance almost every show.
So KPIs. Key performance indicators are what you set as standards. There's two kinds of KPIs. There's performance and behavioral, in broad categories, right? You can literally go to ChatGPT and say, give me three KPIs, behavioral and performance, for an HVAC installer, and you can get a list. All right. And then if you do that, you'll get the list. It may not be the perfect list, but it's a good place to start. Actually, we do that. I mean, when we develop KPIs, we start with AI, and then we develop through AI and then modify them. But it's way easier than it used to be. And then
it's fascinating. The conversations around AI within the business it's so impactful, and we're having a lot of annual conversations with clients right now because they've done their planning the last couple months. And so now it's okay. So how do we fit into this plan? How is it that we can work with you? How can we make sure that you hit these goals? Mm-hmm. And the amount of businesses that are not utilizing AI as a starting point to start conversations as a thought jogger is remarkable to me, because it's so impactful to just start the conversation. It's not the answer, but it starts that.
Well, I'm going to give you a little of my history here, which I think is relevant. Okay. When I started working with contractors, there were just pagers. Right. And I had to convince them to get a pager, right? And then came the cell phone, right? And I'm not going to get one of those things. It's going to disturb the peace in my car. No way am I going to cell phone. I owned a cell phone. When my old days, I had a big radio in the back of the car. Literally, I had to get on and say, hey, Mabel, can you connect me to so-and-so? That was the first cell phones, right? So cell phones, then the next one was email. Not going to happen. Email is a waste of time. I don't need no way, no email, right? Then they finally go through email. Then the next one was websites. Websites suck. I don't need a website. My reputation carries me, all that kind of crap, right? Which is
Yellow pages is the way of the future.
Good, right? So in fact, I went to Russia. There's no yellow pages in Russia, just a true story. So and then came websites. The next big one was web-based project management, Buildertrend, CoConstruct, Procore, all those guys, right? It's a waste of time. It's not going to work. It's a pain in the ass. I don't want to use. And I fought that one for the last 10 years. Literally, everybody, if they're don't have some web-based project management system, they're just stupid. It makes no sense, right? It's like using a shovel instead of backhoe. The latest one has been AI. And I think AI is the biggest. I mean, I personally believe you've got fire, you've got electricity, and you've got AI. We're talking that kind of shift, right? But what I found about the AI conversation is, you guys, AI is like abortion. People have an opinion, right? It's either going to save the world or it's going to destroy the planet, right? It's sort of like you're either killing a child or you're saving a mom. I mean, it's like that kind of thing, right? So when I have conversations about AI, some people just don't talk about it. No, it's going to destroy the planet. It's what is it, that one that showed
Terminator, Starnet.
It's Starnet, whatever that. Yeah. It's here. We're all going to die. They wouldn't have a conversation about it. I go, look it's going to happen. You can't stop it. You either join in or get run over. Those are your two options.
Well, look at Google and Gemini. They've just brought that out in Deep Focus or DeepMind or whatever it is, right? Like Google has long since said for the last decade they're an AI focused company,
right? And if you look at that, I mean, some kind of contractors understand you can use a shovel or a backhoe. It's your choice. You can use a nail gun or a hammer, right? It's that kind of thing. If you're not using AI to compete, you will lose.
So speaking of AI, and really quickly, and then we can pivot. Evan, you might have another question after this. I asked ChatGPT-4 while we were on our show here. Can you provide me 3 KPIs, both behaviorally and performance, for an HVAC installer? And it gives you the actual framework after of like the things to look in, but behavior, safety, compliance rate, customer satisfaction score, teamwork and collaboration, performance, installation efficiency, error rate, installation, number of installations completed. Like that's how long that took me, guys, while we're on a podcast, right, to be able to leverage that to get and look, you take this and say, I don't really like number 2 on this one. Well, then ask it to rewrite it.
You can be more specific, give me specific goals. Tell me what they need to do every hour, every day. Right.
It's the prompts that go in. Yes.
It's everybody. If they're not using it, they're just stupid. I mean, and they're going to lose, guaranteed, because as you look at now, the latest AI in HVAC I've seen is AI now has conversations. It's really good at that, right? It's getting better. So I'll give you an example. I renewed my boat insurance, right? You used to call, it'd ring 10 times. You get somebody in India who didn't understand English. You'd argue with them about what your credit card was. And 45 minutes later, if you were lucky, you might get to make your payment if you're lucky, right? I called him, nice, pleasant voice. How can I help you? One ring, answers the phone. All right, I see we have you on file. What'd you like to do? I'd like to do my boat insurance. No problem. Oh, I see you have this credit card. Would you like? Yes, I'd love to use our credit card. Great. Well, we processed it. Is this all you need, sir? We're good. Fine. Like 3 minutes, I'm done. Right? And it's perfect. No stress, no mess. I renewed my boat insurance, right? I'm sure it wasn't a person, absolutely, because it was too nice. Right?
Well, and that's I had the conversation today with one of our clients asking about CSRs and could there be a future where AI takes over the CSR? I was like, absolutely, it's already here.
We're talking next year, not 10 next year, right?
Well, and the ability for like the human element is, I don't feel like following the script right now, so I'm going to do something different. AI doesn't have that ability. It's just going to follow the script.
It doesn't get mad. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't get pissed off. I mean, and you can have it. I know an HVAC company, literally, they have all their, what is it, annual checkups or, whatever they call those, right? They call up the customer and say, hey, it's time for your annual checkup on your house to check this and that. I'd like to be an appointment for you, blah, blah, blah. The whole conversation, and it works fine. The only thing I've seen with AI, I've been trying to, because we use it a lot. We use it for writing job descriptions. We use it for writing ads. We use it, that's why you can do stuff so cheap, because we use it all the time. But it's still a little hesitant, but I'm sure that's going to be fixed in the next couple of months. So like, I try to use it like to call people to say, hey, could you please fill out your assessment, blah, blah, blah. And the conversation was perfect, but there was this like a second hesitation before it respond. And I'm sure they're going to fix that. If it wasn't for that, I'd start it tomorrow. But we do have AI screen all the job descriptions, we screen, 3,000 resumes a week, right? So AI does it first, and then we have a person do it second. It saves a lot of time. But I will tell people, if you're not getting on the road to AI, you're starting to go out of business, in my opinion.
So when writing job descriptions, if we're leveraging AI to use this as a way to try and attract people to the job openings that we have in our business, how can we differentiate if so many businesses are jumping on the same train and writing the same job descriptions?
Get a little creative. So you're on your computer, write a job ad. You can do it right now, right? Write a job ad for an HVAC tech in, I don't know, Nashville, Tennessee, for ABC Construction, right? It will write you the job ad. Then you can say, make it more humorous, make it shorter, make it longer, make it more detailed. I had it do a bunch of collection notices for me. It was funny. I said, this person hasn't paid their bill. Can you please write me a collection letter? Write as an attorney, big, long, complicated, quote all the laws of the state. I said, write as a contractor, a little short, just say pay up. I said, write it as Shakespeare. It was really amazing. It was totally Shakespeare. It was awesome. Then I said, write as the mafia. And it says, we know where you live. You should pay your bill or else.
I use Facebook Marketplace posts, and I use ChatGPT to write my Facebook Marketplace posts.
Nice.
It is. I mean, did you guys see I guess there was a South Park on AI, then a couple on them, which is very interesting. And I think the clinch was this really good thing in AI. And at the end, the clincher was that this entire episode was written by AI.
Wow.
So get on board, guys. I'm telling you, if you're not, you're going to lose.
So in terms of AI, one of the things that people, say, and they look at and saying, okay, well, I use it on this superficial level to help augment and provide ideas and clarification around certain things. At what point does somebody get beyond that, or need to get beyond that, to actually leverage it and integrate it into their HVAC business? I mean, recruiting, you go this anywhere, recruiting, sales.
And what happens is,
whatever.
I'm just saying HVAC, customer service, that's going to be a no-brainer, right? And also when you do a marketing thing and you get 20 people to call you, all phone calls are get answered instantaneously. You don't have to wait for somebody to pick up the phone 5 times. Okay. I think calling and setting appointments, that's going to work for that. I think it's already job costing, all the, how much does something cost, writing proposals, all the work that a clerical person could do. In fact, I was listening to a podcast the other day. AI, the good news and the bad news, it can hack language, right? That's its big hack. The good news and bad news, the entire world is run on language. All religions, all politics. That means I could start a new religion and get it with AI and make it work. It means I could get anybody elected because I know what to say. So, that's the sort of scary part. And the other scary part of AI, and I've had this happen a couple of times, is cybersecurity. Now, I've had this happen 3 times in the last month and a half. This is the scenario. AI gets into your system, you don't know, because it's somebody in, I don't know, Siberia or somewhere is, listening to your conversations and monitoring your accounting and monitoring your conversations between your accounting department and your bank and that kind of stuff. So you know what's going on. Then they realize you owe an invoice to a contractor for $30,000 for services performed, right? They see it come back and forth. So they write an email as your bank to your accounting department and say, you know what? We made a mistake. This is the routing number instead of this routing number, right? Jesus. You change it it's still Chase Bank. Everything looks the same, except it isn't really 246, it's 247. So could you please change the routing number on the bank transfer? You're done. The money, $50,000 goes away. You'll never find it again. You can't get it back and you're so screwed. And it had it happen 3 times in the last month. For $50,000, for $100,000, and others like $80,000. All the same model.
So how do you put fail-safes in place for that?
Well, one, you can get insurance for it, which is good. They do have insurance for that. You get a tech guy, literally start training your company. We've got a tech guy that trains us and does that kind of thing. because the problem is if you don't even, most guys don't even know what they don't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so
ignorance is bliss, right?
Yeah, right. My friend of mine just lost 30,000 last week. And he fired his accountant, but that's a little late, right? He fired his bookkeeper because she said, well, I've been talking to this person for the last, 2 or 3 days, and it's the same company. They just changed the chase number by 1 number. That's true, but that makes a big difference when you're depositing $50,000 in a transferred account.
Right.
So that's, to me, the scary part about AI is the bad guys are getting really good at it, right? And so cybersecurity, you got to really be careful. I got a thing from PayPal the other day, right? It looked like PayPal had PayPal. I mean, I could not tell the difference. It said, I owe them, pick a number, $500, and please pay this invoice. And it was almost to somebody I knew, but I wasn't quite sure. I sent it to my cybersecurity guy. I go, this is total scam. They're phishing. And it's going to get better. They're going to get better. So I highly suggest that you guys implement some kind of cybersecurity plan, because if you don't, sooner or later, you're going to get robbed, and it's not the old-fashioned way with a gun.
Well, it's already starting to go that way, and just AI is making it easier for them to be able to do. So, pivoting. By the way, we can hear you, but you are frozen.
You are frozen too, and I don't know why that is.
Okay. Yeah, I think all 3 of us on our end, Stacey's on the back end, we're all moving, but I think you're frozen. So all good. We'll keep rolling, because if we try to figure this out, it might just.
Okay, and I don't think it's my internet. I can check on my internet, but I'm sure it's so good. Hold on.
All good. So
we can hear you just fine. So
yeah. We'll just keep rolling, and just know that you're frozen in time, but we hear you. So
we're just looking like a ventriloquist. It's perfect.
Hey, we'll go. That's fine. I don't have any idea why it's frozen. No clue.
Hey, who knows? Who knows? Technology. It's okay. We ended. Evan ended the show once midstream in mid conversation, and we had to respin up a new one and continue on with wherever we left off. So as long as we don't do that, we're okay. I actually froze and drop off when it was just me and a guest near the end, and like the best part of the conversation. So you know what? Shit happens when you're dealing with technology.
Absolutely. So let's keep going. The audio
random question generator, of course, brought to you by On Purpose Media. We are the local HVAC marketing experts. Home service marketing, really, but specializing in HVAC. Plumbing, electrical, list goes on, where we make your brand shine brighter than a disco ball. So the rule of the random question generator here is that we give you 3 choices. You do not get to know what is behind door number 1, 2, or 3. You just get to choose. It's like a blind date. So,
I got it.
What door would you like to open? Door number 1, 2, or 3?
3.
3. What would your pet say about you if we asked for a reference?
I'm too easy.
Are you talking butt scratches there?
Doesn't matter. I don't have a pet because we travel a lot, but I'm sure that's what my pets would have said. I'm way too easy. I do whatever they ask, right?
All right. What's the most use of talent you have?
Connecting to my higher self. Psychic channeling, whatever you call that.
Interesting.
All right.
Well, at least everyone knows now that Paul's a pushover. So if he ever puts out a price there for you, you know.
Hey, there you go. Just beat me up, and I'll probably give in. Absolutely.
It's interesting you chose door number 3, because I wanted to ask you about myth number 3, which was I can do it myself. With all this talk about AI, do you still feel like recruiting is something that people need to outsource, or can they bring that in-house now and do it themselves because they can leverage tools?
No, they need to outsource it, because I can literally do all the recruiting for a company for everything they need for $1,200 a month, all in. You can't even come close to that. I mean, because I use AI on offshore labor, you're not going to do nearly the same. Like, I'm using a backhoe and using a shovel. I can search all the databases. You can't do that. I can search LinkedIn. You can't do that. So to me, it makes no sense. Now, if you are a guy in a truck, maybe. If it's not worth $1,200 a month for you to find all the people you need at a high level, then that's fine. But doing it yourself, because it's sort of like doing bookkeeping yourself. Who doesn't use QuickBooks, right? Because it's automated so well. The same thing as recruiting. We're so good at it. I mean, I said we go through 3,000 resumes a week. And if you run a job, you're going to get back to people in 15 minutes. You're going to go through 100 resumes to find a guy? Probably not. So, I mean, if you want to, I will tell you best practices, just so you know. This is what you need to do if you want to do it yourself. Are you open to hearing that? I'll tell you exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. Number one, write a killer job ad. Now, that's way better than it used to be because ChatGPT or AI has made it a lot easier. Just go inside and then you can modify it. So write your own job ad. That you can probably do yourself if you're really good at it. Posting the ads, tough. You should post it. We posted on 100 job boards, LinkedIn, Facebook. We're in every market in the US and Canada. We can post it a lot of places you can, but post it everywhere you can, including, sticking it on your supplier's wall. All right. Can you still hear me, guys?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now everything's white. That's really weird. Okay, I'm doing weird stuff here. Well, as long as you can hear me, I don't care, right?
Hey, there you go.
What?
You're back.
You're back. You're good.
I'm back. Okay, well, I can't see me, but it doesn't matter if I see me or not. Okay, that's good. Okay, so the second, where to post the ads. So post them everywhere you possibly can, okay? Including, not the bathroom. We referred to that earlier.
No, that's your phone number that we'll put
That's
that in.
right. Anyhow, post it everywhere you can. Ask your friends, ask your family. Make sure you put it everywhere you can, not just in Indeed. You got it. That's key. Okay. And they think of the recruiter, we can search all the databases you can. Second, this is key. Respond in 10 to 20 minutes from when they apply. That's hard because all the good guys go really soon. All right. So if you can't respond, if you respond a week later, don't even bother because all the good people are gone. So respond in minutes, worst case hours, definitely not days. Okay. That's one of the tough jobs that people have doing themselves because they're busy doing other stuff. We have 22 people on staff. We have people all over the world. When somebody applies for a job, we're back to them in 5 minutes. Okay. Selection process. This is something you can help with. Use screening assessments. We have, I think, the best on the planet, but there's all kinds of ways of measuring behavioral, cultural, honesty. We have a really good honesty one. And, I can tell, who's honest, who's not, what their behavior is, whether they're a complainer, sort of who they are as a human being. We can use it everywhere except Massachusetts just passed a law that you can't test for honesty, which I think is hysterical. Every other station
I've scored really poorly on all that, by the way.
I see. Okay, good to know. All right. Let me see. I'm trying to think. Okay, the next one is assessments. So assessments, do interviews. All right. I suggest you do a phone interview and then you do a video interview. It's really easy these days. Just do a Zoom call and then get review. Besides assessments, do video reviews. A lot of software will let you do video reviews. That's really important. And then check references, check backgrounds, because what happened, I had a guy, literally, true story, he got embezzled by his bookkeeper, fired her. He hired another bookkeeper, got embezzled. He went to the DA's office and said, I want you to prosecute. He said, didn't you realize that your bookkeeper you just hired got fired for embezzling from her last job? Like, come on. All right. So do reference checks, do background checks, hire slow. Be like a sports team. Take a while to get there. Don't do it instantaneously, okay? And fire fast. We talked about that earlier. But if you follow these best practices, you ask one time, how come one company has a really hard time finding people and an HVAC company 4 blocks away in the same city has all the great people they want, right? So why is that? Why do you think it is, guys?
Well,
I've
I've
read 7 steps.
7 steps, but the other part, culture too.
Yes.
I think it all starts between the ears of the owner, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the law of attraction thing, right? I've had guys, their belief is all employees suck. They're taking advantage of me. There's nobody in Greenwich, Connecticut, pick a place. It's impossible. They have this mindset that guarantees are going to fail.
Right.
Because they know it won't work and they get to be right, right? The guy or woman 3 blocks away says, they got all these awesome employees. I love this place. I can't, there's so many good people. I can't even choose because I got so many people, the candidates to choose from. So more than anything else, it's a mindset of the owner, I would say, if I picked one thing.
Well, that's a Jim Rohnism right there. Is the brain is going to try to prove you right, no matter what it is that you believe. You're going to look for opportunities to be right because nobody likes to be wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think
You talked about responding in 10 to 20 minutes, but then hiring slow. What is your communication? What are you laughing at, bud?
I wrote down juxtaposition 2 and 6, which is basically what you're saying. So,
so you want to respond fast, but then hire slow. So what
absolutely.
Is the communication process
Let's take
like
a sports analogy. Let's take a sports analogy here, okay, guys? Let's look at if you saw the movie on Beckman, it was like a Netflix series. You know, they recruit for like Manchester United recruits kids that are 12 and 13 for the team, right? Mm-hmm. They start really young. And it's the same thing. You got to get, they scout, they look for good people. So all you're doing when you respond quickly is getting the person in queue, right? You're getting to start them through the slow process you're going to take to hire them. But it's sort of like a client. I'm sure you know in your business, when you have a client, you got to not wham, bam, thank you, man. You've got to nurture that client. You've got to do a great job and serve them, do everything they need. Just not, we'll put an air conditioner, we're done. So it's the same kind of thing. You're looking at, you want to get them on the hook. And also the other thing looking at, if you're applying for a job, guys, and one company responds to you in 5 minutes and one takes 3 days, which one are you going to work for?
5 minutes.
Yep.
Right. Because these guys that got their act together, right? I'm going to work for a company that has their act together. And that's why 5 minutes is important. But that doesn't mean it might take not 3 weeks to hire the guy, right? Or woman, because you got the assessments, the video interviews, all this whole long process, references, whatever. But it's not at all opposed. One is you get them on the hook right away so you don't go someplace else. And then you take a long time to make that decision. That make sense?
How much of that expectation do you let in up front so that the applicant knows what the process is going to look like and that it's going to take a minute to go through it? And what does the communication look like throughout that process?
Okay, so when we get a hold of somebody, first place they're either in or they're out, right? We have pipeline scanners or their AR and people, and we say this person is qualified or they're not. Once we say we're in, we say, we're really interested in you. Your resume looks great. Would you please take this assessment? Or would you take this interview? Now, sometimes if you're hiring a plumber, it's not easy, or a laborer, right? Sometimes it's in English, sometimes in Spanish. But you want to get that person knowing that you're being picky, right? And that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing, right? So you say, look, we have a very sophisticated process to make sure it's a good culture fit as well as a good performance fit. So we're going to make sure you like us and we like you. So these are the process we go through. You sort of sell the process. Now, sometimes I have people in run our whole system because what happens is Mr. Wonderful or Miss Wonderful, they see it on the ATS. We get, they wish in real time. You look at the candidate, I say, call that person immediately. Screw the whole system. Just get them on the hook. And then once you get them on the hook and they're interested in the job, then you can walk them through the system. But somebody said, nobody would want a club that would have me as a member, right? I forget that was it, but it's that kind of thing, right? So it's the same kind of thing. You get them on the hook and you tell them it's a process and you're looking for a very specific person and you wonder if there's a culture fit as well as a performance fit. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What's your favorite interview question?
Favorite interview question would be, I guess it's, why'd you leave your last job?
I like that.
Yep. I like that too. I usually go with what do you most like about your current or last job, and what do you least like about your current last job?
Kind of thing, right?
Same kind of thing. You just get a little bit of extra extrapolation in there. Right. I always like to say my favorite interview question, and it's like one of the first ones I ask is describe yourself in the third person, because it catches so many people off guard.
Right. Now, one thing, when you do interview, make sure you ask everybody the same questions, because lots of times the applicant will start to control the interview, especially if you like them. And so the advantage of a video interview is we have all the questions written out and they're not doing it in real time. They're sitting in front of their camera or whatever. We're doing a video interview. So it's really important that you ask the same questions to the same person every time. That's key. All right.
So with your video questions, are you doing something like video ask where you're prompting them a question and then
Well,
they're doing it and they're going through the
video interview.
funnel, or are you doing like
It's a video
in-person?
interview, and it has a list of questions they need to ask, like why did you leave your last job? What are your strengths and and it depends on the position. We usually have 10 questions or so, but those questions change entirely on the position we're looking for. Obviously, if you're looking for a laborer versus a CEO, it's a different set of questions, right? But the advantage, we can tell a lot of things by looking at the resume and a whole lot of things by doing an assessment. We can't say, are you old, are you fat, whatever. We can't. There's some things we just can't ask, right? But in a video interview, we can find out. Like we had a position for a residential production builder. He needed somebody that was good in Spanish and good in English, both. And so we had her answer the questions in Spanish and in English. And you can't tell that from an assessment.
No.
So that's why the video interviews show, if you see what they look like, what they come across like, how they present themselves, how they are, as far as health and, they're on, it's a lot of stuff you cannot tell except in a video interview. So I highly recommend a video interview, and I recommend that you do it on their phone, or they're going to do it and ask them the question. So they're all doing the same interview.
Right. So it's like a video ask in a sense where you prompt them a question, they record a short little video versus an entire long thing or in person.
Right. It takes generally, we ask 10 questions. It usually takes like 15, 20 minutes all in, maybe.
Yeah. Makes sense. What are your thoughts on after you get to that point of thing of, checking references, backgrounds, you believe that they're a good fit? How do you feel about ride-alongs?
I think that's a great idea. I mean, it's hiring somebody is a lot like marriage. It's easy to get married and really expensive to get divorced, right? Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing in hiring a person. It's easier to hire them. In California, firing is almost something you don't want to do. Have you heard about the Taco Bell case?
No.
Okay. So somebody at Taco Bell was fired unfairly for dishonesty, right? And so they got fired. They hired an attorney and they sued Taco Bell and won. Guess how much money they got? This guy was making $15 an hour at the time.
It's the state, so something ridiculous.
It's California. So take a guess.
Probably over $1 million.
Even worse.
Okay.
Sorry
$5 million settlement.
Wow.
$5 million. Insane, right? In fact, now they've also passed along California, the minimum wage for somebody in the food service industry is $25 an hour.
Oh, God!
Those people at
And
Taco Bell,
then they want a 20, 25, and 30% tip on top of it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's insane, right? It's like, and why are we going to automate, right? Duh.
And that's just it. Like as a restaurant, how can you even charge less than $50 for a single meal now?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. And what happens is that's why, checkouts are all automated. Taco Bell's automated, because when it gets that expensive, it's cheaper to automate it. That's
Absolutely.
where AI is doing a lot of stuff now, right? So it is crazy, and I suggest letting people go, laying them off versus firing them, because when you fire people, where are we? Hello, can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, my screen's doing weird stuff now. When you fire people, you have to. The thing is, most small employers don't follow the rules. They're just too small, right? But they apply the same rules to you as they do to Walmart. You know what I mean? So when you've got a little company and you fire somebody, I guarantee you have not followed the rules according to the state to fire that person. As far as the pre-written, reprimands. And then I get this bullshit about, it's a right to work state. Not true. They can still sue you in any right to work state. And I have literally every year, there's always 2 or 3 or 4 of my clients who are sued for wrongful termination. In fact, one of the ones of interesting that got sued for it was this woman came in and worked for a week and they fired her because she didn't do anything she said she could do, right? That was okay. And then she sued them for wrongful termination. And he went, you were here a weekend to do anything. And so she said, no, you fired me because I was a woman, blah, 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 blah. So he filed this big court case. And at the end, the attorney said, look, she only wants $25,000. Just pay her because the attorney fees are going to be more. So he paid her the $25,000. The scary thing, she'd done this 5 times before. And you couldn't find out or ask those questions. All right. So firing people sometimes isn't your best choice. All right. Letting people go is a whole different set of rules.
Well, and if you ever question,
if you lay them off, if you lay them off because of lack of work, that's a whole different set of rules. So I suggest you lay people off and don't fire them.
And if,
so what's
by
the
way,
difference in structure with that?
Sorry, there's a lot of legalities that go into this. I'm going to put a disclaimer out here just for the sake of this, because depending on your state, depending where you're at, there's somebody called Ian Shatanis, HR guy, Big Picture Consulting. If you're ever curious, get with him. He'll navigate you through all those complexities. It is super cheap. So give him a look up if you're ever curious about this from a legal perspective and an HR perspective. And
I suggest before you let somebody go, you contact somebody like that guy, because I guarantee you're going to do it wrong. And you may be lucky and nothing happens, and you may be not lucky and it costs you $30,000, $40,000 because it just does.
Yep. Right. Evan, you were gonna. Awesome. I interrupted you there. You were gonna ask something.
No, you handled it perfectly, so it's all good.
All right, cool. Well, I know that you have you're coming up on your time limit, so we want to be respectful of that. As we do wrap up, of course, if anybody wants to reach out to Contractor Staffing Source, that's the URL right there, contractorstaffingsource.com. Find them on the old Facebooks, facebook.com/Contractor Staffing Source. Or if you have questions, Paul at paulsanneman.com. And if you're ever feeling frisky, you'll find this on a bathroom stall in Hawaii. 415.
That's my own personal cell phone, right?
415-599-9006.
And,
but of course,
guys, if anybody wants to call me, I'll be happy to tell them how to do it themselves. Because, if you're a guy in a truck, it may make sense. But once you get, I'm going to say, certainly $1 million and over, it makes no sense. Because we can do it better, faster, cheaper, and you can do it on your own. And, you're only as good as your team when you think about it. Now, I'm going to ask you guys a question. What makes Elon Musk, what ability makes Elon Musk the richest person, at least on paper, in the world?
He's an alien.
Well, besides that, what skill does he have?
Well, I mean, he's relentless and is a nerd, reads a ton of books, and works an insane amount of hours. But he also finds the right people. No, he finds the right people.
He has the ability to build teams. Otherwise, he'd just be another nerd at MIT, right?
Well, and the other part too, like his book is actually fascinating. It's been a while since I've read it, but one of the things that I like about Elon and what he's done in his organization is he removed. He's essentially done a flat hierarchy or accountability. And so, like, if you're an employee and you have a team lead who has a manager who has a VP who has the owner, and you have an idea and you just want to go directly to the owner, he's like, well, fuck, come have the idea, come pitch me. Like, you don't need to go to your team lead who's going to go to the manager, who's going to go to the VP. It's like you eliminate all those redundancies and those red tapes, which is fascinating on what he's done, for it. And that's part of it. So as we do wrap
speed to decision making, too.
That's
right?
His ability to build teams is huge, right? And I believe the number one thing that separates successful contractors from unsuccessful contractors in any construction is their ability to build teams. That's number one.
Not just contractors, any business. Like, we got off a mastermind, and that was one of the recurring conversations we had for 2 hours before we jumped on this, was about team and culture and buy-in and employees and engagement and hiring. And look, if you have zero recruiting experience, you came out of school and you went to your trade school and you went working in trades. By the way, nothing wrong with that. I'm not discrediting this at any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I almost wish that I would have went into the trades instead of going into university. So put that out there. The chances of you having the ability and the expertise and the skills necessary to recruit, probably not high on your actual skills list. So this is where
the thing is, you don't even know what you don't know, which is scary. Right?
Well, it's like an accountant. You're going to hire an accountant. You're going to hire a bookkeeper. You're going to hire a lawyer. Why wouldn't you get somebody that knows recruiting that can hire recruiting for you? So, as we do wrap up, though, Paul, we have one final question here for you.
Yes.
What is one question that you wished people would ask you more, but don't?
How can I succeed as a human being? Because I have a stock answer for that question.
Okay. Well, how can you succeed as a human being?
This is a Jim Rohn quote. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, in fact, I have a little side note. I remember I was going to the ski with my son and his friends one time, and we were up and going, and I've I've been really well. I've done successful my whole life. And so he says, Mr. Sanneman, you seem emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially successful. How do we do that? I said, read these 3 books, right? Think and Go Rich, How to Win Friends. And they said, we don't have time to read any books. I go, okay, fine, stay poor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and the good news now is you have access
to it. You don't have the time. You just
good.
You said there's 3 books. You only mentioned 2: How to Win Friends and Influence People, Think and Grow Rich, and
well, the one I'm actually more into Sadhguru now, but in those days I'd say think what is it? Think and Grow Rich. The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People.
All 3 great books.
There you go.
Yep. All 3 great books. Well, and look, it's not that you don't have the time. It's just you haven't made it a priority.
Right.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Simple as that.
I've had businesses that have gone better after their owner got stuck in the hospital.
Yeah,
I can believe it.
Because he had to work on his
business owner is
the
business owner is the bottleneck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
I know that for our business as well. Me and Thad are the bottleneck of our business.
It's sort of like The E-Myth is also a good book, for that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic book.
They're a great book. Even the one with Ken Goodrich. That one adds in specific HVAC.
Good. That'd be great.
So, well, hey, I'll be the first to say thank you for the time. I have the busy schedule from Hawaii.
Yeah, absolutely.
I kind of want to go back. I mean, I went to Maui before it burned down. So,
well,
so cool.
now it's deductible, guys. Come out and visit me. I'll put you up.
Guys, sold. Sold. I will be talking to my wife directly after this to be like, hey, guess what? You got a place to go in Hawaii.
Absolutely.
So perfect. Well, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No worries. And until next time.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Well, that's a wrap on another episode of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. Before you go, 2 quick things. First off, join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/HVAC Revealed. The other thing, if you took one tiny bit of information out of this show, no matter how big, no matter how small, all we ask is for you to introduce this to one person in your contacts list. That's it. That's all. One person. So they too can unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Until next time, cheers.